Hello, everyone. This is the Intentional Beacon podcast. Gifty Annie, your host and your mentor. So this is the platform, we remind you, it's a platform that we shine light on the power of intentionality and authenticity in one's professional or personal lives. So today, it is an honor and a delight for me to have our guest who is going to introduce herself shortly to you. I've known this special guest for almost 10 years. It's more or less like a friend, and also she has a wealth of um, additional professional hats. So, but I'll let her introduce herself. For our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in at this time. I hope the story that and the unique story you are going to hear will inspire you, educate you, and empower you to apply it in your own personal and professional life. So, without taking much time, I invite our guest, Andreea Stefan, who is with us. Andreea, it's an honor to have you on this platform to share your unique stories to inspire our audience and listeners this moment. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to join me. So my first question is to allow you to introduce yourself to our listeners, how you want them to remember you, to know you. That is up to you. Thank you so much.
Hi, Gifty. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay.
So my name is Andreea Stefan. I was born and raised in Romania.
Wow.
Um, I worked in 3 different countries so far:
Wow.
Romania, Cyprus, and UK now.
Yeah.
And in 3 different countries, I worked in 3 different industries.
Wow.
So I cannot identify myself with the job that I do per se, because I have such a vast experience in different industries. However, I studied mathematics in high school. And about 6 years after I finished high school, I was able to go to university, and I studied economics with the field in management, business management, people management, whatever holds to management.
Mm. Oh, thank you so much. This is diverse role you've taken on, but hopefully we streamline it for you to share your unique stories in terms of your experiences. Thank you for being so transparent. And so now you've mentioned about working in, you sound like a multinational person. You've worked in different, and I guess that will also impact on the languages you may be exposed to. So now, can you share with our listeners what actually inspired you to juggle many jobs and studying at the same time? What was your experience like?
So I'm not coming from a wealthy family, to put it like that.
Mhm.
And while I got a very good education while I was in high school, and my family was very supportive, when I finished high school, they couldn't afford for me to go to university. Therefore, of course, I started different kind of jobs, like working in shops, restaurants, waitering. Of course, was the best one to look for, because a part of the salary you gain, right? You also have some tips. So, as
Yes,
any young
indeed.
person would like to get some extra money. Um, I tried to get into university once or twice by scholarship, but unfortunately, I didn't get there. So when I was probably about 24 years old, I was working in a restaurant, very well placed in the city center. And just above the restaurant, there was the headquarters of the local newspaper. And I speak both two languages. My mother tongue is Romanian, but my father tongue is Hungarian. So I spoke both languages at the same level of proficiency. And just so happened that the newspaper was bought by a Hungarian company. And they were looking for a secretary who speaks both languages. So, of course, being aware that the job is available, I applied for the job. But when I applied for the job, the person who was in charge with hiring people looked at me and said, I don't even know how you thought that to apply for this job because you are just the waiter from downstairs. So I looked at him and I was like, why you would say something like that? I mean, I speak both languages. I have good admin skills. I mean, I could do the job without problems. So I left the interview, but I left with the question in mind that really, if you don't have a higher education, you cannot apply for a better job, even if you have the skills and ability to do it. And that was the moment when I decided that I have to do something about it. So I searched and I looked for university qualification, but it had to be online because I had a day job. So indeed, I find one that was good for me because I had to go to school only on Saturdays and Sunday. So during the week, I could study online. And this is how my journey with the university started. But of course, one job was not enough because to pay for the school was really challenging for me. So what I did, I took a second job. So during the week, I was working in waitressing in the restaurant, and in the weekends, I was attending events and do waitressing at events. So I gain extra money in order to be able to pay for my qualification. In the same time, also, I realized that I have to gain more experience in an admin job because people look at your experience in order to get a job. So what I did, I started to look for a job in anything that has to do with data entry, computers, whatever. It was just
Wow.
something to
Wow.
change my job description, right? And I got a job. It was in a betting agency and it was data entry. It was a little bit of
Wow.
accounting, a little bit of invoicing, but it was mainly to entry data in the system. So I kept my weekend job as an
Wow.
event waitressing, and I kept my daily job as data
Mm,
entry to be able to pay for my scholarization.
mm,
Unfortunately, during that time, my father got sick. He
mm,
was diagnosed with cancer and he was really in an advanced stage. So I wanted, of course, to offer him the best treatment and to be able to take
mm.
him through the private treatment because I just wanted to do everything possible.
Wow.
Uh, of course, with the university, I couldn't afford to pay for a private treatment as well. So I took a third job. So it was for about 1 year. I slept 2, 3 hours per night, juggling between the three jobs. But I can say that I finished first, I graduated first in my class.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And all that experience, it was really tough. And I can tell you, I cried a lot through that year.
Mm.
It was
Wow.
really, really
Wow.
tough.
Mm,
But yeah, it was something that gave me a different perspective on life
mm,
challenges. Um, I took extra responsibilities at the job, as a day job where I was. And I was paid a little bit extra to do the cash deposits. And there was me and another colleague of mine who were doing the cash deposit, doing the extra admin work and all that stuff. So this went on, let's say, for about 6 months, right? And then a promotion came up, and the promotion was given to my colleague. And I was surprised because it was uh, it was me who was doing almost all the job. So
Mm.
I did ask the regional manager what happened. And my regional manager told me that I know you did all the job yourself, but your colleague was calling all the time the head office, telling them that all the job was done by her.
Mm. Mm.
And of course, she got the promotion.
Wow.
Unfortunately, it just was during the same period that my father died as well.
Oh,
So I was emotionally, mentally,
nice. Mm.
I don't even know
Okay.
how to call it.
Mm.
Um, I was empty.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
Mm.
empty
Mm.
because even if I finished I graduated first in my class, professionally, um, it was, I couldn't understand how someone can do this to you,
Mm. Mm.
to just lie in order to get the promotion
Mm.
on someone else's work. I mean, I was just shocked because
Mm.
I thought she was my friend. Then
Mm.
personally, of course, I lost my father after a very
Oh,
hard year, so I felt empty.
so
This is
sorry.
the word to say it.
Mm. Mm. Ah, I'm so sorry about your dad's losing your dad. It must have been difficult, challenging. Um, as you said, your experience was very on the other side. It pushed you to the other side that you felt really empty. But you did touch on something that, applying for the job, the Hungarian job, where you felt labeled by the person who was already in charge. But that didn't stop you. It
No.
actually pushed you to make further inquiries about how to prove that person wrong.
To
So
do something about it, let's
yes,
say.
yeah, yeah.
I saw
So
a
even
lack.
though it was not pleasant, it's like
Yeah,
a blessing in disguise to help
yeah,
you have the light moment to say, hey, who are you to label me in spite of what I've got in,
yeah.
you know, and so given although you touch on some of the valuable lessons, and as you spoke to describe everything to the time you unfortunately lost your dad, there were certain patterns in terms of not even though you said you felt empty, you did not stop there. Could
No,
you,
I didn't.
yeah, could you share some light, despite the disappointment, the challenges, not only for you, for the entire family of your lovely daddy, you knowing where he was and the financial aspect. What is it? What are some of the lessons and what actually made you persevere to stay true to your commitment? Somebody would have given it.
Well,
Just
the idea is that I would say that the education that my parents gave me growing up, they always taught me respect, discipline, and to never compare myself with others because I am not in competition with anyone else. I have to be the best version of myself. So this is how my parents educated me as I was growing up. And uh, second is my Christian beliefs because I became a Christian when I new born again Christian when I was 13 years old. So I literally grew up in the church, and I had a very, very good support system in the church. So they taught me what is my identity, who I am, and to not allow people to label me. I need to have a healthy self-esteem to know my strengths and my weaknesses. And this is what happened to me when I was turned down and, as you said, humiliated. I looked at the situation that there is a lack, and if this is how people they look, then I have to do something about it. And this is what moved me towards the fact that I have to study. Now, of course, the second setback is when my colleague was promoted on my work. It was again, I saw the same pattern that living in a broken world, you have to watch your back. But I never compromise who I am because someone else did something wrong to me. Because if I do the same, I just become like the others.
Yeah.
And of course, when that happened to me, I decided that I have to move places because I am in the wrong place.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing is happening accidentally. If this happened and I didn't get the promotion, but someone else did, and I am in a hostile environment, that means that I have to move on. It's time to go.
Mm.
And exactly this is what I did. I looked for another job and then I moved on.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. That is a journey of faith, as you mentioned, and knowing who you are also played a very vital role for the decisions you took at a time, in spite of the difficulties. I think that is really powerful. Not giving up on what your mission is or your plans and purposes may be because somebody is pulled you down. But that actually was a catalyst to somebody would have been broken. Yes, there was a feeling like that, but you did not stay there. And I think making that intentional decision to say, not necessarily proving that person wrong, but you felt you were worth better, far better than what others, the expectations of your friend or from the person who saw you differently. And so we come down to the other breakthrough, which I love very much in terms of climbing the ladder, you know, from your bio, climbing the ladder, even when you hadn't expected it, from I think from making calls from the office to the managerial position, and that must be some leap. So I like to shed light on that and just to encourage us.
So, yeah, I try to summarize it as short as I can.
Okay, it's okay.
Uh, yes, the next job I was looking for, again, I looked at my strengths and I said I speak two languages, Romanian and Hungarian.
Mm-hmm.
So I really concentrated to find some companies that require these two languages. And also already I had experience in some data entry and working on the computer and so on. So I applied for a job in import-export Hungarian company. They were dealing in
Oh,
furniture, and it was quite a big company in our city. And they were looking for someone who pick up the calls and give information, a customer service job. I applied for the job. I did get indeed the job, and it was a little bit higher the salary than I had before. Now at this stage, I didn't need three more salaries anymore. So I,
wow.
after my
Mm,
father died, I stopped it. I finished
mm,
university. I kept only to the job that I was doing then.
okay.
So I was answering the phone calls, right? And I had to give information regarding what are the stock that we have so people know how to plan and what to buy from us. But I was told off in probably the first week at work that whatever was in the computer in our inventory was not really accurate because they were missing parts of some furniture. Now you have to think that I was working for a company that they were having 7,500 square meters of warehouses plus their own
Okay.
shop. I mean, we used to go to work in the morning, and you will have 5 to 6 trucks waiting for us to unload, and
Oh,
already four to
wow.
five to upload to send out in whole Romania, right? So we were importing from Hungary, from Poland, from Germany, and so on, and you have to send it out. So we were working with hundreds of companies across Romania. And all
Wow.
those people, they were calling to see what is our stock so they can place their orders. And when I was told off by the office manager, I told to my manager, I said, listen, if I don't have the correct data in the system, how can I give the correct information?
Mm.
And he looked at me and said, well, find a solution then. And I was like,
Wow. Wow.
find the solution? How?
Yes.
I am just a few weeks in the
Mhm.
company. So I started to go in the warehouse and spoke with the people. We had almost 30 people working for us in the warehouses. So I started going to the warehouses and just to talk to them, to tell me what is their problems, how can we work together to do a better job together, how can we help them from the office for
Mhm.
them their job to be easier. And I did came up with a solution of a way how to do our inventory and how to replace our the broken pieces that we have.
Wow.
And yeah, about 1 month in the company, I implemented the new way to do the inventory. And indeed, we did it first time, and it was just amazing. I mean, everybody was so happy that we find a solution.
Mm.
But I noticed during those days, I mean, I was about two months in the company,
Mm.
and I noticed that the office manager, we were handling quite a lot of cash as well. And I noticed that sometimes she was taking money out of the cash of the company cash. And I was asking the people in the office that is that normal, someone to touch the company money? I mean, how we justified it? I mean, first of all, I felt it unfair towards the company, but second, I felt it unfair that I am there and I can be
Mm.
made responsible myself because I had
Mm.
access to those money.
Mm.
So I really struggled for about a week or two with
Wow.
what to do, right? Because I find myself in a very delicate position. So one evening, I just gave up and I spoke to my manager and I said, listen, I really don't know what to do with this information, but I don't
Mm.
want to go down for something that I'm not responsible for.
Sure. Mhm.
So I told him what I believe happens. And for my surprise, they already suspected it, but there was no one to prove it
Mhm.
and no one to stay behind it. So just to really cut the story short because our time is out,
Mhm.
my manager, after about a few days, he called me in the office and he told me that he triples my salary and he gives me a 1 month that I have to learn how to manage the office and take over everything.
Wow.
So
It's
he
amazing.
saw in me the potential that
Mhm.
nobody else see it
Mhm.
since then.
Wow.
But
Wow.
he said, I know I can do it. I will offer you all my support because I
Wow.
know I can trust you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that valuable character that was seen, reminds me of Joseph's story, but I'm not going to
Every
go
time
there.
I
And,
remember that
and
story.
you do as well. Well, I thank God
Yeah,
for that. And you were picked up just
yeah,
because of that obedience, even though you were uncomfortable, you were unsure what this would have led to. It came from, it came to be something that people had observed, but there was no courage to approach it. And of
yeah,
course, as what do you call evidence it helps that it was not just one person, two person, but a couple of people had noticed that. I think I have to go to your next question. How has your faith, as a woman of faith, played in all this? You have been intentional. You've sought to be authentic in carrying, staying true to your values, in spite of all the setbacks and challenges, to propel you forward. How would you share with our listeners in terms of your faith, how it's played in all these?
I would say that never compromise.
Mm.
Never compromise the values and the beliefs you have as a Christian,
Mm.
because God sees it, and when you expected the last,
Mm.
He will promote you. I mean,
Mm.
I came from a big setback that I worked for a few years, and just in 2 months I just jumped like Joseph, as you say,
Mm.
from a prisoner, he went to a prime minister.
Yeah.
I went from the entry-level position being an office manager. When you do the
Amen.
right thing and you
Mm.
stay faithful to who you are in Christ, He will promote you at the right time. I was
Mm.
not ready at all. And I didn't pretend I am ready. I accepted and I said it. I am not ready to do this job.
Mm.
But when God wants to promote you, He will put people near you that they will support you and they will help you in the journey.
Wow. Thank you so much for those nuggets of wisdom. But I think we will have to come back. It seems like a lot are packed. We can, each, you know, information you've shared is full of a lot. It's a lot that we can unpack the next time. But thank you so much for sharing. But I would like you to have a word. Do you have a word of advice or encouragement to someone who may feel stuck, you know, that nobody understands and doesn't know how to move forward? I think with your unique story, if you have a key word of advice, that would be appreciated. Mm.
I would say the following: you are never alone. And the personal success is a limited success. But when you pursue success and you have people around you and you work together towards it, that is what it makes the difference. And each one of us, we have people in our life that are there to help us and offer us support. We have just to be open to accept it.
Amen.
So
Thank you so much.
I will just leave everyone with this one. You are never alone.
Mhm. You are never alone. And also, it's about having confidence that you are enough. And as a Christian, you said the promotion comes from God. Wherever you are
Absolutely.
hidden, He will pick you up, bring your talents, your gifts to people who are on top, who may not necessarily have the same faith. So I thank you, Andreea. Thank you so much for sharing nuggets of wisdom with us. It's a journey of courage, resilience, perseverance, an act of faith, and obedience that helped you to stay true to your mission and being authentic to your faith. I think that is something we need to award you for. And thank you so much. So, for our listeners, you've heard yourself, and I hope you've been inspired, educated, and also empowered to take some of the nuggets shared on this precious platform. So, being intentional in the areas you've been called to stay true to your mission with clarity and purpose, and also with grace. Thank you for listening in. So, until our next episode, we keep on shining. And thanks again to our guest, Andreea. Thank you so much for
You're
joining
welcome.
us.